Morning. So today we have a few random things to do. Yeah, I've just made this list on Friday, so I haven't even had a good look at it since then. But yeah, we can start with our glow up of the wargs. So we want to go in and just add a bit of detail to the wargs. So we go to green beans. And just while we're here, let's do a quick pass and just see if these are like up to scratch. Like my first thought about this is I think I did originally try some shading around the mouth. And I mean, let's just try that again. The thing is, if I do this, I kind of have to do it for all of these faces, but maybe that's it's not so difficult. It just takes this long. But like, is that actually adding anything, or is that just kind of messy? Like, there's something about the sort of lipless grin of a goblin that kind of works quite well. I don't think that's really added much. But one thing that I kind of randomly think is a bit too soft is this color here. Could just be a little bit darker, maybe. So I'll just put it down a bit. Just gives it a bit more substance. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I noticed that on a bunch of those when I was looking at these before. That I think just slightly higher contrast. And maybe that's just a style that's developed. Like initially the sort of norm was this big head. With a single color, but now that's not really the norm anymore. Like we really do think of these as two-tone images. So yeah, I think this is a bit nicer. I could spend forever just kind of glowing these up piece by piece, just finding little bits of improvement, but I'm just going to do a single pass to kind of get there. So now the goblins, so it used to be that it felt like the goblins had more personality than the humans, whereas now the goblins, since they all kind of share, like they've all got the same cheekbones, they've all got the same nose. I wonder if that's something I should fix, or if it's okay. This one looks alright. Like the goblins being that they all have the same face, but they have a different color, you know. I think it's probably fine as it is. Again, I can always come back and do more, but I do kind of want to get out of the art phase of development and get back into the development phase of development. Like we have seen massive improvements to the way the game looks in the last couple of weeks, and I kind of just want to play it a bit before I start like polishing bits, and I am indie. Like there is a limit to how much I can do. Like obviously I could spend 10 years making this game, but I think we would start to see diminishing returns quite quickly there. Okay, so yeah, I started doing this a bit with the warg. Is just, yeah, I think this little kind of cheekbone thing here, this little shape here, is quite nice. I wonder if it's actually better just to do it by hand in each case. No, I think for some consistency it would be nice to have, I just have to do the colors, but it would be nice to have that exact shape in the exact spot on each image, just to have a consistent cheekbone. Do dogs have cheekbones? I don't know. But I think it works for the image. I think it does improve the image. It gives it a layer of detail that it didn't have before, and it makes it look less like a sort of, I don't know, like a kid's cartoon or something. Like a kid, just like a lazy MS Paint drawing. Like it becomes like, what is the difference between pixel art and lazy MS Paint drawings? Because this has less functionality. The Piskel has, well, it's different functionality than MS Paint. It's got the onion skinning and color palettes and layers. Okay, There is something quite nice about the simplicity of the wargs as well. Yeah, we do kind of slowly develop into something quite strong. I wonder if I should like shade under the mouth. Again, I think because I'm kind of done with this, I'm just going to move on. I'm just looking for really egregious, I mean, yeah, glow up wargs, I've done that. So yeah, I'm going to move on. So I'm just going to double check. Because I already had a look at that. It's not like I'm just blindly approving that. It's just I've already had a look. The only thing I spotted that was really egregious was the wargs. But like I said, we could do lots of other things. But, you know, then I'll be here forever. So scenes, sprites, characters, green beans, looks like it is 9 columns. So I just need to make sure that this exports at 9 columns. Just slight alterations. Okay. Wait. What changed? Did I accidentally delete a sprite or something? I feel like something just moved. Yeah, we've lost one of our Blade Masters. I must have accidentally deleted one of my Blade Masters. Okay, that's a pain. So when did I do that? I don't think I did it today. I must have done it in one of the previous sessions. Have you seen, like, because when I'm clicking around these, sometimes I just click on those. So that's a massive pain. That means I need to do that again. If I remember right. Oh, and also he could do with shading on the hair. So okay, fine. Big screw up. Like, this has happened. This has not actually happened. Usually when I absent-mindedly like accidentally click one of those, I notice it straight away and catch it, but it looks like I didn't this time. One of the things we could do, and yeah, unfortunately, wait, can I look in? So when I overwrite something like that, does it end up? I'm just gonna go away. Does it end up accessible? So, assuming I haven't got anything weird in here. Nope. Yeah, I do have a couple torrents in there. Never mind. I'll just pop that over to the other screen. Paw Patrol, Magnolia, just for, you know, research. So did it keep? So when I delete something by overwriting it, does it end up in here? No, I don't think it does. I don't think it does. Okay, so sadly we've lost that. I could recover it, but I think it might actually just be easier just to kind of redo it, because there's not a lot going on there. So one of the things I'll do, and I think it's like which one did I lose? This one or this? Between these two or between these two? So yeah, very silly mistake. And yeah, we do want to shade under the hair. Oh, it's all on the same layer. Oh, that's going to be a pain. Okay, never mind. Worse things have happened. But I do think these ones always benefit from shading under the hair here. Yeah, fairly tight. It's not like it's hanging over its head. It's a tight knot. It's a tight style of hair. And yeah, we'll just shade. Yeah, I mean, this guy looks cool. He looks like kind of unbothered, but ready for action. Probably one of the stronger characters you can recruit. Okay, yeah. Okay, and then we would have the same shading here, and it's going to be easier just for me to redo it. Okay. Is this on layer 2? No, it's not. It's all on the same layer. It's not good. Okay. So what is between? I think he gets his hair straight away. And I think the strands of the hair appear earlier. So what I kind of, all I want to do really, like what would be between... oh, see there, I just did that mistake again, but this time I caught it. Okay, I think this, what I want to do is add the strands. So we're just going to have to very crudely copy and paste these on and then deal with the consequences of that. So we have the strands, and I think this guy has quite a cool, unique feature in the way that his eyes kind of come down, and I think that can happen at stage 3. Yeah. Maybe he looks tired. Maybe he looks experienced. Yeah, and maybe there's quite a few places where we could improve the state of the orcs and goblins, because they kind of followed the old rule as well, where they all start kind of exactly the same as each other and then evolve into something else, which is not something I've kept up with, especially for the tier 2 units. But yeah, I think we'll accept this. So we said 9, and we'll say, you know, let's, like, we can come back and do more art, but I think I really do just want to get back to the game. So this is done. Let me just double check it over here again. So yeah, that's what it should look like. Okay. Mistakes were made. All right. So the next one we have here, is my sound working? Get paranoid about it because my son didn't break the sort of plug at some point. So it can kind of fall out within a light gust of wind. So okay, so wings on death animation. So what we have is these winged creatures, which is cool. I like it, and they kind of float around and they look good. But these do not animate. The wings don't end up animating. And actually, I'm not sure I can even. Oh, for God's sake! How do I do that? Yeah, I'm not sure I can animate them. I think there is a way, because wait, weren't the wings supposed to be inside the character sprite renderer? Isn't that how I did it with the other ones? So let's investigate. So I think I did it with the other ones like that. No? What about with the origin, the Ocufiber? Put down spicy beans, Ocufiber. Yeah, the wings are indeed in the character sprite renderer, and I think that works better. So let's try these out. So we go bat, and bat's the first one we end up seeing. So I'm going to copy that rather than just dragging it, because I want to get this process down. And we go. Can it not? So if I select it there, I'll put it under it. So yeah, I just want it at the bottom there. And just see how this ends up rolling, because what it will do is oh, what? Why on earth would it be like that? Okay, I'm being stupid. I am being stupid. I should have made sure the first one was happening correctly before I did anything else. All right, we can simply, I think the easiest thing actually would be to go back to our, well, why is it in the same right position then? Go back to our Ocufiber. And where are the wings? That's their position. So I'll take that and then go into each of my bats, delete the old one, paste that in, and then this one, the color comes from here, and then we take this object, delete the old ones, paste this one in. Adding worked for myself because I'm being stupid, but you know, it's how we learn. Some people learn because someone explains to them, look, if you do it like this, you're going to create more work for yourself later. I'm more of the type to like have that happen, create the more work for myself later, and then be like, ah, that's why I should do it like that. Okay. So yeah, I'm going to put a pin on this. Well, actually, no, I did want to do something. So let's look at what happens when this character dies. Okay, I think that's going to be fine. I think because I hadn't nested it properly. But you see the problem here is that the color change happens on the body, but it doesn't happen on the wings, and it ought to happen on the wings, except that is going to be annoying and tricky to do because I basically have to just copy the animation, except the wings have their own animation. So I think, so if I select wings, it goes to that animation panel. But what I can do is add property, wings, and yeah, I do it like this. So I'll have to say wing L, sprite renderer, enter. Why? Yes, that. Yes, that. Add property. Wing. It's letting me. It's showing it to me. Sprite renderer. Oh, okay. Sprite renderer. So I would have to like kind of manually. So yeah, sprite renderer color. And do that for both of them. So wings. Just because if I select it, then sprite renderer color, and we do the same thing. Okay, so that's in idle, so I'll delete that, but I think I can paste it. I just delete these together and then go into take damage and then paste, and then so this is where the color starts changing, and so I'll copy those ones, and then we go, and with these selected, so I need to have the wings selected, and then here's the tricky part, right? It's because if I select the wing, it's gonna make the animation, it's gonna select the wings animation because the wing object has an animation on it, right? So I would have to, I wonder if there's some way, like if I like randomly control click, I mean, maybe Unity wouldn't suggest like nested animations, but it can be done. It's just, and also because I've kind of already started it, I can actually just take these same values. So we go from, except I've changed the color, right? So it is kind of awkward and annoying to have to do this, because what I would then do is go like red up to full, or like, yeah, red up to like red up a bit, I guess. Hello, where's my thing gone? There it is. And I guess as long as there's like a little bit of that happening, so let's go like, yeah, point. And what about the white? Isn't there a white renderer? Don't they turn white when they take damage? I thought they did. Yeah. White renderer. Oh, it's got a missing sprite. Okay, so that would work. That will work in the scene, because that always takes from the main sprite. So then, but then yeah, we go red, and then we just go back to neutral. So I just take these two and copy them. So we go. So we get the wings go a little bit red. So you see the problem I have there. With the white ones, it'll be easier, because then there wouldn't be any color on that, and so that is going to be a pain in the ass to do. That doesn't mean I'm not going to do it. It's just my very efficient setup that I had isn't so efficient anymore. I kind of wanted to wait and see how much it bothered me, because like, yeah, does it really bother me if the wings on a character don't react in the same way with the colors, so they won't have the debuff color on them? And is that bothersome, or is that fine? I am going to leave that for later, just because things may change. It's not that important. But essentially, yeah, I would have to re-import the wings. So I would have to actually make another pair of wings that is for the bat, even though it is quite easy just to change the color there. And I would have to basically find all these instances of animation. And then the other really annoying thing is the way the status effects work. So what we do is, when a status effect added, we look for a sprite with, we look for this, and then we turn it on. So if they're charmed, this comes on, right? But as you can see, it doesn't cover the wings, right? So how would we do that? What would be the best way to do that? Because we could just do it all again. So we just copy and paste this whole thing, but for the wings, which is just a lot of work, a fair bit of like extra sprites in the scene and like optimization, just for a few characters that aren't generally on screen for that much. But then if I was running an army of bats, so like I said, while it's kind of important, the way I've been building the game, like, so the better way to do this, and this is the experience thing coming into play, the better way to do this would, when I'm first making the game, is decide, am I going to have any characters with like peripheral things on them, like wings? And if so, how are they going to be attached? And then if so, whenever we think about animating something, we have to animate it assuming that these peripherals exist. I mean, one thing is that the weapons don't react. So when the character gets squished a bit because they're being, because they've been attacked, the weapons don't react, right? I'm actually going to delete this. The weapons don't react, and it looks fine. And I'm just wondering, maybe the same is, but the weapons do exist within the sprite renderer. So, like, for example, if this weapon was, do we have sword? No, human weapons. Say he's got a bow. And we are looking at the take damage animation. The bow does end up getting squished, but it doesn't change color. I think actually that's fine, just from the weapon experiment. So I'm going to leave that. Okay, the next thing I wanted to do. So yeah, I'm actually just going to leave that, because we can kind of think of the wings as weapons in a way, you know. Okay, but you know, had to kind of sit and engage with it and think about it for a bit. Okay, so test Banshee. So one of the things I want to do is test how the Banshee is. So we go to our cheats and we say Banshee, and just test that that's working, because last time it threw up a bug, which was an easy fix, but it was a bug nonetheless. and I just want to, and I should have fixed it. I think it's fixed now, but I just want to test it out before I kind of get into a whole run again. And also, yeah, is it working? Is it actually debuffing the enemy, and does it look like they're being debuffed? So yeah, we're going to test that the Banshee works. Simple one. And I reckon it will, but I'm happy. I'm 70% sure that this will just go through no bugs, because I've already fixed it. And yeah, I can just play as Sean, because... Oh, is it going to give me issues about not the right faction for the upgrade? Let's see. Really doesn't take this long in game. I think just my computer. I haven't been resetting my computer. It's a silly thing that I do. It's because there's a YouTube video that I'm on, and I don't want to lose my place. And I know that it generally saves your place, but not that reliably. You know, it's a silly thing. Okay, it doesn't matter. Okay, we have our Banshee. I kind of just want to see how this plays out. So yeah, they get that terrified effect above their head. Okay. But there's a couple things to think about here. So we're in pure design space right now. So if the Banshee does a debuff, so it makes sense thematically that a Banshee does a debuff. Right? That much is true. Let's just have a look at her while we think about her. It makes sense thematically that the Banshee has a debuff. But if the Banshee has a debuff, then it is more powerful. If it's more powerful, then we really need to cut max health or max speed or something. So that's a balancing issue. Did I have another one? Does one of their evolutions have Vampire Lord? No. Tomb Raider, Tomb, Shadow Knight, Revenant. Does Revenant have the Banshee Cry? No. Lich? No. Flesh Golem, no. Edgelord, Blood Mage, no. Oh, okay. So Banshee is tier 2. Okay, I see. Okay, that makes more sense. Right. So I'm not being stupid. Okay, so Banshee is a tier 2 unit, so we already expect them to have two things. Okay, that helps. See, I was just being stupid a second ago. So yeah, they have their Icicle and they have their Banshee Cry. So my thinking is that the Banshee Cry... Yeah, I think it does need to be more visual. So they've got that little sprite in their pocket that kind of is like, oh, what's that? That just lets you know that it has another move and that it's on cooldown or not. And it's working. It's doing its thing. Except I think it does need... Thing is, if we have it... You've got to be really careful with sound effects in a game like this. Because if I say, oh yeah, it's a Banshee Cry, it should do like a scream. That's going to get annoying really quickly. But if it's not too strong, it should be fine. But it works. And the thing comes up above the enemy's head. It does look a bit weird at this early stage, but the object won't appear in the early stage. So I'm going to put a pin in that and say that's probably fine. But maybe we could do with better visuals for that. So like Banshee Cry visual effect. So then we just put like a little like sort of wave. I do need to, but that's a kind of general question, is having visual effects for the buffs and debuffs. So the buffs be like, could we come up with something that makes it very clear visually that this character is doing a buff and that everyone has been buffed without it getting too noisy? Because I did have like a very simple just circle expand, and that ended up being visually noisy. It ended up just being like, oh, I don't like this. But what if it was more subtle, more of a ripple to it? Or maybe it's just fine as it is. Maybe it's, you know, this thing does a debuff, and if Banshee is only one of 2 units, then you're like, what, you know, it looks a bit weird. But yeah, we'll see. The chest can give more upgrades than slots available. Right. So could this be one of those? This is very rare, because what would have to happen is you've kind of got all your slots full, and then you get a chest. But if the slot is full, but then the slot gets filled. So let's say I've got 1 upgrade slot. It will, in that event, it will give you so yeah, the chest, what it does is it gives you an upgrade. It upgrades your existing things, similar to Vampire Survivors. The chest does not seek to give you any new upgrades that you don't have, because you don't get a choice. So what it does is it just upgrades what you have. But what if everything you have is fully upgraded? If everything you have is fully upgraded and you don't have any other slots, it will give you a magic bean, which is the meta progress thing. There it is. And if you do have an empty slot, so again, this is quite a rare circumstance that you would have everything fully upgraded except for one thing that's empty. In that case, it will give you something random. Okay. But what if you get more than one thing from the chest? It will check that your slots are full and then decide to give you something random. So if that makes sense, like, so what we end up, if I've got 1 slot empty, everything else is fully upgraded, and I get a chest with multiple rewards, I can end up getting more upgrades than I should be allowed. So here's my thinking. I think the simplest way to fix this would be that if you've got upgrades, because this is so rare as well, it should never just give you a new upgrade that you don't already have. Right? So if I'm in that scenario, I've got 1 free upgrade slot and all of my other upgrades are fully upgraded. Instead of giving me something random, just go straight to the bean. Go straight to giving me magic beans. I think that's probably the best way to handle it. Okay. So I need to find that. So I will admit this code, I did part of it with AI, just for like the rarities and stuff. Like I wasn't very good at. But this looks like I coded it actually. If roll is great, this looks like my programming. For that bit at least, I think it was like the weighting. So like, how do you weight upgrades when you can get up to 5 things? How do you make it more likely that you get the common stuff? You know. So I did get some AI to help me with this code. So. Okay, so I think here's what we want to do. If not all options, so yeah, luckily I've commented it out. If not enough options or all maxed, fill with random available upgrades. No, don't do that. Don't do that. just don't. So I'm going to comment this out. Yeah, I think that's it. That's all I have to do. Just comment that out, and then it should give a null, which will read as a bean, and yeah. So I think that's good, and then I'll wait for that to become a problem. Stop squish. Just being smart with my QA budget, which is obviously a budget of my time. I maybe I should test that now and make that happen, but I kind of want to clear this list. Stop squishing ally sprites on buttons. Okay, so where does that happen? Because I think in most cases that doesn't happen, or it happens and I'm okay with it. So this is one of the things is I can't actually remember. So when we get an upgrade, like HUD dot, okay, let's just HUD dot, okay, no, not that, and then show upgrades. Okay, this is the spot. And then if it's a, do we do anything to, do we because basically the weapon sprites are square, the talent sprites are square, the ally sprites are just slightly taller. So if we put them into a square space, they end up being a bit squished, but not very much. And maybe it's fine, but maybe it's not. But like I don't know. This is where I'm at. I'm looking at this level of detail, so it just goes to show how far along I am. Yeah, just little bugs that I saw last time. So the aim is to do these. I'm not going to animate ultimate effects. I'm not going to do SFX today. This is like a full session. This is a very full session. This is a once everything's done. So is this. This is a if I can. Yeah. Okay, have fun.
I really have to get Tyrus, okay?
Okay, yeah.
Love you.
Love you too. Okay, so you see, yeah, it's squished up there, but it doesn't. It's not too annoying, is it? Like it kind of, it's fine. But wouldn't it be nicer if it wasn't slightly squished? But the other thing I need to think about, the thing I need to consider here, is that upcoming, like I want to overhaul the UI. I want to make it a lot nicer. Like I enjoy the simplicity of this. It's just a square with a color. But I think these days, in order to bring it up to par with something like, and I'm not trying to be Ball Pit or whatever, but yeah, like let's have a look at Ball Pit and how it shows the upgrades that you have. And there's just a little bit more to it, isn't there? Ball Pit. I'm just gonna have a quick gander at Ball Pit and just see. I mean, yeah. So we're kind of getting off in the weeds a bit, but yeah. So anyway, what the quick fix is like? Oh yeah, let's put in a bit of code that like when we're doing the allies, it's just a little bit taller, and a little bit thinner. Okay. So yeah, just like little things like those highlights look pretty. And you know, so this is really simple. So I've just got a square. But here we have this. There's a little bit of shape to the square, and I think that might be important. So some designer has figured out what is the sort of simplest, best thing, and then we've got these squares, and they highlight in an interesting way. It's not just a square. So we just jump into a game. Oh, yeah, like I haven't done the DLC. Okay, but can I just play? Where's play? Battle, this one. Okay. Oh, there's so much new stuff. Alright, I'm literally just not going to overthink it. But yeah, so I mean, this is a similar sort of interface. And yeah, we've got these nice shapes. So what I would want to do is, like, while I really love simplicity, it's just random because I'm not. Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Because I love the squares. Squares is fine, and this is basically just a square. It's just they've done something a bit more interesting with it, haven't they? So when we're in game, yeah, okay, so it is just empty. So it's just that kind of consideration. So in this case, so for Warbeans, what I might do, the thing might be to just have no background, and you can just see the thing up there. However, there are a couple key differences. One is that in this game, you can guarantee that there's never going to be too much visual noise over here, right? There's not going to be too much visual noise over here. It's going to be like you're always going to be able to see this. So then let's look at. Can I just look at a screenshot of Vampire Survivors? Screenshot. Images just of the gameplay. So yeah, this is the kind of screen I'm looking for. Can I just... Yeah, so looking at this. So then we're back to like full simplicity. Oh, what's going on? Oh, just let me zoom to scroll. Okay, so they've just got a very faded grey rectangle, grey square, which then the sprite sits inside kind of on top of. And it's very subtle. Okay, so that's good. And there is something that I'm done similarly, which what it does is it shows you some empty squares, which is just a very clever, elegant way of telling you that you've got a limited number of upgrades that you're going to be able to have. And they've got this simple visual language of weapons are empty squares, and armor or talents or whatever you want to call these have a little cross in them. Okay, so I'll close ball pit. And my game... Can I have my game back, please? So yeah, mine is a bit too simplistic there, isn't it? So they're nice and big. And I like the colors, but yeah, what if it was maybe that doesn't make for a pretty screen, you know? What if, like, I like simplicity. You just say keep it dead simple. And what I've done here with my sort of UI is that there's always this kind of indented button, you know? Like just very simple shape here, which I kind of like. I think it works. But we got this grey box, and it screams simplicity. It sort of says very unapologetically like this. We're just dead simple here. But I think the difference between a game that sells a few hundred copies versus a few thousand copies might be that the screenshots, when you look at any random screenshot, does it look like it's been cared and loved for? I think that's the trick. It's like, I like simplicity, but also I think what people want to see is that something has been cared and loved, cared for and loved. So all of that is to say, at the moment, yeah, these are squished. But I body. These are squished. Ever so slightly, but it's not really very bothersome to look at, right? Like that's, we kind of accept that up in this corner here it's squished. Right? That's okay. But the reason I noted it is because it doesn't look good in the character select. I think in the character select, it doesn't actually look great. Jesus, this game, it's not, I promise you, it is better optimized than this. It's just when I run it from Unity, after having had my computer asleep rather than off all night, it doesn't look great. So we have the, like, I haven't actually got this on my list. Stages, story, I should do those first, and then we do the UI glow up, basically. And that's where we're gonna dig into the code. We're gonna do all of those things. So one of the things I'm doing is I'm trying to be efficient with my time. I could just go ahead and do that now and be like, oh yeah, let's go into here. And here it bothers me because here is like, I don't have the rest of the screen distracting me. It doesn't feel right. But I think this entire UI could be a bit more like, I don't know what it looks like, but more themed. So it's like your weapon is your weapon. It's not just 3 colored boxes, but like you've got, like when you pick which soldier you're going to have, you kind of maybe see your unit with, you know what I mean? Like they're there. And maybe even like, you know, you would have like Sean there with like a few soldiers around him, and that's the way each of these characters would be represented, right? Is that they've got their little army of whichever their starting unit is all around them, and it kind of matches and makes more sense, right? So I need to do like a full UI overhaul. Ideally, I would be able to hire a UI artist to just come and fix the game for me, but who knows? Like maybe I'll decide to, you know, take out a credit card and hire someone to do that if I really. But I think I can probably do it myself. I need the work, so I'm not going to pay someone else to do the work that I can do. It's just it's gonna take some sitting down and thinking. I'm okay. I like this, but again, I think the game has just evolved a bit, and the game could do with a bit more love. It needs to look cared for. So we can design a UI again from scratch, and I can kind of like write a few things down and kind of draw what my buttons should look like, and just kind of like, yeah, I need to really sit down, and this is like a week or 2 at least as a project, just to design and then implement the new UI. Luckily, most of it's programmed. There will be some reprogramming to do. But yeah, like, so for example, what I mean there is, instead of having a bit of code that like stretches the image sprite so that it's a bit taller, so that it fits the character, I'm actually just going to have a sprite that already is the dimensions of the character, right? An image renderer. So an image renderer that already matches the dimensions of the sprite that is going in, rather than having a bit of code that stretches it. So that is folding into big UI glow up. Okay. Artifact panel looks bad on full screen. Yes, it does. But what's the deal? Why does it look bad on full screen? I think I might have already fixed this. This takes way too long. I'm gonna, yeah, I think restarting my computer. So I'll definitely do that before the end of today. I need to go get my son at 11:45, so I need to leave at 11:40. And then I've got an interview in the afternoon, which I'm really excited about. And so I'm going to spend, so that's at 3 o'clock, I'm going to spend 1 until 3 preparing for that. Okay. And then going for interview tips. Go for a walk. Get your head full of oxygen. don't have 10 coffees, go for a walk. Have a second coffee. Have one more coffee than you would usually have. But don't have 2 more coffees than you would usually have, because then you'll be a jittery person. But go for a walk. So get that excess energy out, because then you won't have so many nervous twitches. You'll be like happy to just sit down doing nothing. So not just a walk, but like maybe a little run, maybe a little bike ride. And then you're just full of oxygen. You're full of, it's not, I was going to say sunshine. It's not a very sunny day, but yeah, interview tips. Okay. So UI, I think it was on full screen. So if I go, yeah. So what's happening there? Because I thought it was all like canvas scaling. 21 by 9. So I think I might have neglected to do canvas scaling. So we look at our UI. I thought it was just in the big UI object, but I guess not. So scale with screen size. And then artifact UI. Apparently it is still scaling with screen size. So we compare it to so we don't want it paused, but we just want to play focused. So this panel. Okay, is that it? It needs to match with the height. Oh, where's it gone? Why's the panel disappeared? What the hell? Like, how is that even possible? Okay, so we don't need to press play. We can just go into the scene. So yeah, I'm not sure what's up there. I'm sure I'll figure it out, but like, yeah, okay, so this resolution doesn't exist. This is my screen resolution. This is 21 by 9. And when I might have already fixed this, because sometimes I just kind of like write it down, but then I just fix it. By just moving in things. So we go scenes, main game. And yeah, unfortunately, I still have this little fiddly thing where like that, because this, for some reason, this just needs to be on when the scene opens and then it closes itself. I know, it shouldn't be like that. I could fix it. It's just I'm always doing something else whenever it comes up. Okay, artifact UI, and then the panel of that opens up. But we've also, and so yeah, then we've got our level. Where's our level up? That would be in HUD. Where's our XP bar? And can we see that, please? Like, where is it? So the XP bar is like on stretch. And the problem is I can't actually see it because we've got a black background. So can I, with the camera, just make the background not quite solid color? Okay, there we go. So yeah, that looks bad, doesn't it? Because that is just touching. That is just touching. So if we say artifact UI is matched to, like, if we just nudge it up a little bit, does that cause any issues? I don't think so. It's just, it looks bad if it's overlapping, doesn't it? It just doesn't look good. It's like, oof. Again, we could put that down to artifact glow up, but also we could just nudge that up 10 pixels and then that should be fine. So sadly, I need to remember to switch on this, switch this on, and then there we are. So artifact panel looks bad on full screen. If it still looks bad, then I am UI glow up. Okay, this is a more meaty one. Now we've got some more meaty ones, which is, and more designy ones. So we have these grave artifacts. So let's, too many tabs open. Go grave summon. Okay, so 1% chance to summon a random ally on. Okay, so we can. Okay, so that doesn't work. That doesn't feel good. So to summon a random ally on resurrect, yeah, that's just weird. It's awkward. It doesn't really make sense. Like summon an ally on heal, that feels good, but this is like, wait, so when I resurrect something I could also just spawn a unit. It just feels off. So grave summon could become something like so grave summon, it's like undying grip or something like that. Oh, hello build official. This is a game called Warbeans. I'm going to change the name to Army of Survivors, and it is a survivor like, so think Vampire Survivors, with a twist. You can summon allied units in the same way that enemies are spawned. So I don't know if you played like Vampire Survivors, but you know, like some enemy bats will spawn. Well, some friendly bats will spawn as well if you choose that. So in addition to picking weapons and armor, you can pick allies to spawn alongside you, and you end up with this kind of. So yeah, it's. I haven't seen a game like it. Other games have tried it, but it tends to be you just like summon in the sense of like a Final Fantasy VII summon, that it just, a character will come in and do a move and it's like, hey, you've got allies. But no, you've actually got my army, their army fighting each other. So yeah, thanks for joining the stream. And one of the things that we have in the game is artifacts. So you have weapons, allies, and armor or talents, whatever you want to call it. Relics, artifacts, whatever you want to call it. But you also have, yeah, thank you. We also have artifacts, which are like your sort of, well, yeah, like artifacts in Slay the Spire, which have these kind of unique effects that synergize with certain playstyles. And the undead, and one of those types of artifacts is like one that procs on healing. So when you heal someone, something can happen. But the undead, they're not about healing. They don't heal. They revive. So they have access to a unique set of artifacts that work a bit differently. And at first what I did is I just said, well, let's just copy, like, so you've got killer. So these are artifacts which proc when you kill someone. Summon a random ally on kill. Heal 5 on kill. Gain a buff on kill. Which I just kind of ended up changing to grave, which is like, oh, thanks for all the likes. Grave, which is like, basically it's the same, but when you summon an ally. And I thought, yeah, it's a bit weird, but I'll give it a try. And yeah, I was right. It is a bit weird. It doesn't really work because of the way that like necromancers work. It's like when you revive a unit, and then so instead of summon instead of like summoning, like a chance to summon a random unit whenever you revive something, we're going to say revived units last longer, right? And then and what I need to, so yeah, heal chart 10 on resurrect. Like, it's okay if we have fewer of them. That's fine. So we don't need to have like 1-to-1. So like, which of these feel weird? So yeah, grave heal becomes like something that means that everyone who has lifesteal has better lifesteal. So that would still apply to other units, but more so to undead. So grave heal would be like, that one's crap, that doesn't make sense. Let's make it something that makes lifesteal is doubled. So I don't know, double blood. Double blood, yeah, that's fine for now. Working title. Don't need to think about the name too much. Need to think about the mechanics. Grave resurrect. 25% chance to resurrect at double strength. That's fine. That's good. Grave buff. To gain a random buff on resurrect. We could say like resurrected units. So grave buff stays grave buff. But it, so yeah, undying grip slows decay of undead. Double blood, doubles all lifesteal. Grave buff. I mean, the thing is, so other buffs, so like, so this is gain a buff on resurrect, which means when I resurrect someone, I can get a buff. Like, that's crap. But what if it was whenever I resurrect something, they can come back to life with a buff? Like, is that good? Is that worth having? I think so. I think that's good. Grave mana, that doesn't really work. Grave reset, that doesn't really work. But grave buff would be like resurrected units are resurrected with a buff. Oh dear, we should say come with a buff. I mean, yeah. And so are there any others that would work well for the undead? Like what if there's a chance when you revive something that it's not, like it just comes back? Like there's no undead decay. No, I don't. I think just having the slow decay is good, because it means that, like, effectively, you know. Yeah, I think we'll just go with these three. Like, it doesn't have to be that many. And if we think of more, we can add more. And that's better than, like, having to get rid of ones that we, you know. Yeah, so, because, like, Grave Reset doesn't do much. Grave Mana doesn't do much. So I'm going to, yeah, Grave. So we call this Undying Grip. Grave Heal, no, Double Blood. And Grave Buff. Oh, did we have Grave Resurrect? And then we just wanted to keep that as it was. Yeah, Grave Resurrect. Grave buff. So yeah, we've got 4 of them. So I will just go ahead and comment these out. I never delete things. I always just comment them out. Just in case we might want it back. I don't see us wanting it back, but you know, grave buff. Okay, so 20% chance, might be a higher chance for resurrected allies to appear to come with a random buff. And then it would be double chance for hero. Okay, grave summon. No, this becomes. So while I'll just change this undying grip. So grave summon. Just do it manually because it's not that many. Undying grip. Resurrected. Your allies will decay at half the normal rate. Will decay slower. Hero. Double. Yeah. Decay slower. Yeah. Would that be more powerful for the hero? Generally, these things are, but then I would have to do some code. That would be a weird exception to have to add. Resurrected allies will decay slower. So then we would have to like put a tag on a unit, like were they resurrected? Because where's this going to go? We go character. And we go decay. No. Undead debuff. I just had it. Undead debuff. Okay, so it's based on the strength of the buff divided by 100, meaning that it's less if the strength is higher. And then so we say if play, and then I just need to remind myself, how do I get an artifact? Yeah, that's the list. If gm.active artifacts. So this could be, because it means for quite a few units we're going to be checking for an artifact. So this will happen quite often. But yeah, damage take times divide equals 2, so half. And it's undying grip. And then do we delineate between whether the human has that or whether the hero has that? Or so like it would be a further. No, I'm not going to bother with it. I think that this one does not benefit more from having from it being done by the hero. It's just this applies to all undead units. Yeah, I think that's kind of how it has to be. Okay. Yeah, one of the other like glow ups is to go through all these artifacts. At the moment, there's like a visual language of like the proc and the outcome, and the proc is like a big spiky thing with a color, and the color represents the proc, with the outcome as a sprite in the middle. And so of course, you know, whereas I think it might be more fun to actually just give each of them like some kind of unique themed image, or you know, or just kind of do a bit better with that. I think resurrected is 1S 2Rs. Yeah, resurrected allies will decay at half the rate. Okay, and then we have Grave Heal becomes double blood. And all life steal is doubled. Should we say increased by 50%? No, 50%. 100% for hero. And it's not like a chance, like no, that will just be a flat increase. We could fix these later on, but the point is, here is an artifact which just enhances lifesteal. So what that would mean is pick all the vampires, get the lifesteal talent, and so on and so on. Like it just puts you into a lifesteal build, but also kind of makes healing more viable somehow. I don't know exactly how, but yeah, I think that works. The lifesteal is doubled, and so rather than like doubling the lifesteal on all units, because that's going to be annoying. Oof, yeah. Okay, lifesteal greater than 0. Lifesteal is made. Okay, so we're already like stored lifesteal. So we say if lifesteal is greater than 0, if artifact, so if, yeah, nice, we have that in the paste bin already. Okay, if lifesteal times equals 2. If lifesteal, the artifact that contains double blood, lifesteal times equals 2. No, lifesteal times equals 1.5F. If damager is equal to player, damager.isPlayer, do we not have damager.team name is equal to team 0 dot. So is the damager on the team? Is the damager player? And that should do it. Pretty simple, pretty easy to do. Still is doubled. Okay. Lifesteal is, yep, that worked. Okay, so that's in. I don't need to Let's keep that on the list. Grave Summon, Grave Heal. And then we've got Grave Buff. So that's great. Okay, let's go back here. So Double Blood, Grave Resurrect. Okay. Yeah, that sort of seems like, but 25% chance to resurrect at double strength, double chance for hero. So do we have Grave Resurrect? Did I already do that? Because it looks like I didn't have to change that. Grave Resurrect. Did I already do this? No. That's nowhere in... Oh, yeah, it is there. Okay. I'm not going to delete any of these because I can just comment them out. Grave Summon, Grave Heal. No, I'll just comment these out. Saves a little bit of optimization. Grave Buff. Okay, yeah, so not like this. So Grave Resurrect, yeah, that works. Strength times equals 2. Oh. Okay. Grave Buff. Yeah, so we go... Yeah, so if... No. So caster... No, not caster. Corpse. It would have to be down here. Grave Mana, Grave Reset. Nope. So after on spawn, let's just put it all the way down here. Okay, let's just make sure we've got the thing. So if caster.isPlayer, so if dice is less than 0.5, caster.isPlayer, so yeah, dot is 2, but then if caster.isPlayer, I'm just going to kind of fudge it in. It's not the most elegant programming, but and then we say what is it? Random buff. Make random buff. Yeah, so we go corpse dot make random buff. Corpse. Okay, yeah, because the caster has to, so this would be me buffing the corpse. So this would be caster dot make random buff corpse. Is that right? What, like, surely it would just do it on itself. And then the buffer is actually the okay. So this is totally redundant. If this is on character, let's keep it how it is. But the buffer is this. The buffer is whichever I'm calling this from, and then it's the character that we've put in that bracket that is the one that receives the buff. So yeah. So then that works. Does that bring up any errors? We'll see. We'll find out if I've broken something. I don't think I've broken something with that. Okay, so if we have this artifact, then when we do a buff, when we resurrect a unit, we make a random buff on it if the conditions are met. Yep, good. If caster is player, and this would just be, this is just backwards. Okay. And so that should mean that should mean that works. And then I just need to make sure, grave buff, double strength, life steal. And then that's that. So then the other thing that I'm going to need to do there is the sprites. And I think I am going to just use the ones that they were replacing. Although, maybe we can do a bit better than that. So like, so we're not using this anymore. Let's go to sprites, artifacts, and that doesn't look good. That looks so bad. The skull just awkwardly there. So I'm gonna like make hard commitment to. Because, we had to get there. But, these shields look bad. What would look better is, like, some kind of special background that takes up the whole thing. Or make these look nicer. Or just kind of give each one a unique one based on some kind of theming. So, the background tells you what is called, this means debuff. Debuff to heal, double effective debuff, debuff to heal everyone, debuff to get mana, debuff to reset weapon cooldowns. And that's the visual language. So at least there's a consistent visual language, but this does just look crap. Especially this one. It's clear what it is, but I just think we can do a whole lot better. So I'm going to do UI glow up, artifact glow up. I think the talents are okay. The talents look alright. But the artifacts not so much. So actually I'm not going to save this. I'm just going to use placeholders out of the ones that we already had. So we go in here and we grab artifacts. And we find the missing ones. And we say Undying Grip would just be, let's just use that. Double Blood would just be, let's just use that. Grave Rain, not a thing. Don't need to worry about that. Okay. Okay, so then Stormcloud. So this is pure design here. So there is Fireball, Icicle, and Chain Lightning. Those are all fine. Those are all beautiful. Then there is Ice Beam, Meteors. Those are fine. Those are beautiful. But then and then we have Stormcloud, and Stormcloud is basically just meteors. So what I need to think of is what would the advanced version of a lightning attack look like? Would it just be a chain lightning like a bigger, badder chain lightning, basically? Would it be a big, epic thunderstrike? Like a single thunderstrike that just hits in a big area? Because the Ice Beam is a beam, goes through units, So it has like natural piercing, and is a beam and does ice effects. The meteors is cool because it summons a bunch of things from the sky which hit rapidly. Like, it's a bit unpredictable, but if it hits a bunch of times, which has good synergies. Like, it's an interesting thing to have. But the lightning at the moment basically is just a storm cloud that does the same thing as meteors. It could be that the storm cloud should stay, but the meteors should go. I'm kind of feeling that, actually. Like, so where I was just a few seconds ago was, I need to change storm cloud into something. But actually, storm cloud maybe is fine. I need to improve the way it looks. But maybe it's meteors that's the problem. Besides them looking like spaghetti meatballs, because they're meat ears. That's a mistake, but I just thought that was funny. Well, unintended pun, unintended thingy, meteors. But yeah, so meteor versus storm cloud. So the storm cloud makes sense that it's this cloud that will like hit a few times. Like, not as many times as meteors without the sort of... But it's like, yeah, a cloud appears and then lightning bolts come out of it. Right? That's good. That makes sense. But then the meteor is more like it's a giant fucking meteor that comes. It's a single meteor that comes and just smashes a big area, and it just ends up being a big splash. Okay. I think that is the way to do it. So, meteor to change meteors to big meteor. And yeah. Update visuals of storm cloud. I think that makes more sense, like to sort of have mechanical difference in what these things do. The meteors, like before, it was just a really good way, like if you had something that procs on hit or something, or on crit, and you've got high crit and you've got meteors, like this is just going to proc a bunch of times. Like, it was quite powerful. But the storm cloud can kind of do that. Like, yeah, it's a bit slower, but it has the potential to hit a great number, like many times out of one cast. So we'll keep the storm cloud. Meteors still exists as like a sort of effect that can happen, I think. I'm not sure it does, actually. But the big meteor makes more sense. Like, not little meteors, but like, no, it's just a meteor. And it's this big fireball that comes from the sky. So it's not a projectile that has to go through things, and that can be like blocked in ways. But it's just a big meteor that comes from the sky and does a big impact explosion, which I'll have to animate. So what's the first step here? The first step is a really silly one. Okay, so should I spend more time thinking about the design? Like, part of the joy of being an indie at this level is like, you know what, let's just fucking try it. My aim of this little tiny design meeting with myself was to fix this problem that the storm cloud and meteor were too similar. Meteors was too similar. And the result, unexpectedly, is not to change storm cloud, but it's to change meteors. Because then you can do like a bit more of a, because a storm cloud is simple. You do a cloud and it just sort of zaps in random spots beneath it. So, And that works. That's like a bunch of hits out of one cast. So if you're like casting a bunch of those and you're resetting that, you could get a lot of casts out of that. Like it's pretty gnarly. And the meteors was kind of like a little splash of meteors comes down. But then the meteor becomes a big meteor, which is a black mage move in Final Fantasy 14, which I like. And it's like you sort of see the shadow of it. And then, so you see where it's gonna land. And then, boom! And it just does epic damage. And epic, like it just does a lot of damage. And then we have to think about probably still making it a rain effect. Because I want it to have that delayed, like I don't want it to just be BAM! Like, I want it to be like there's a build up to it. So you still have that challenge of like it can miss. Because it can aim at a character that's about to die anyway, then that character dies and then this thing just hits nothing. It won't hit friendlies. But then if you've got a big pack and it just sets them all on fire and like does knockback and things like that. Which makes me think... It's a big tangent there. So yeah, I'm not going to spend more time designing it. I think that is an elegant solution. If I think otherwise, then, you know, I'm not going to do it all straight away. So I'll give myself time to sort of mull over it while I'm having a bike ride or something. But then I just came up with this. So artifact, so knockback. I think I had this somewhere on the list and then I got rid of it. Knockback artifacts. So what if we end up with a build that has lots of knockbacks happening? And knockback itself isn't a powerful thing. So I think when I looked at this, I was like, oh no, knockback artifacts aren't good because knockback isn't that useful. It's more of a visual thing. It's kind of useful, but not really. Like if you have a hammer and a ranged weapon, your hammer has high knockback. It will keep the enemy at bay so that you can keep shooting them. Shoot, hammer, shoot. And that kind of works at scale with a bunch of units as well. But what if there was results of knockback? And I'm a bit inspired by Mugenics. So like Mugenics has an item which converts all knockback into damage, basically. And then I'm thinking, like, so this is just a thought exercise. So it would be like knockback also adds extra damage. Knockback spreads debuffs. I'm not going to have knockback can chain because that's going to be that we just don't we don't have the optimization for that. But like knockback spreads debuffs, that's interesting. Knockback adds extra damage, so it's like every time someone gets knocked back, they're also taking more damage, which is like rewarding the use of hammers, anything that knocks characters back, which is more so like almost every weapon has a little bit of knockback. I think actually almost every weapon has a tiny bit of knockback. But if we said that like a significant knockback was a knockback of like higher than 5 or something like that. Knockback spreads debuffs. Comes from ultimates as well. You do a knockback effect whenever you do your ultimate. It knocks back any enemies that are near you. Knockback knockback spreads debuffs. Knockback does extra damage. So like, oh yeah, I want to pick a hammer because now every time I hit, like, all of my knockback weapons are going to do more damage. Which would sort of go with a melee build as well. And it means that I'm going to want to pick things that have knockback. And then knockback spreads debuffs is a bit situational. It's cool though. It sort of makes sense. What else could knockback do? Like, yeah, knockback. Also heals user. Also heals knocker. Yeah, also heals user. And so we can go to our like chart basically of like, which the easiest thing is just to look at critical. So knockback can make a summon? No, that's weird. So every time you knock a unit back, you've got a chance to summon that is equal to the amount that you've knocked them back, like, or relative to the amount you've knocked them back. No, that's weird and that's stupid. Knockback heal kind of makes sense. Double knockback is like, I just don't think that's that useful. Critical buff. So yeah, knockback buffs. Every time I knock someone back, I can get a buff. But again, that just... what I'm interested in is... because you'll always knock people back. So how do I word that? Like, high... knockback above 5. Like, so like, what is high? Like, so one of the criteria for picking an artifact or anything in this game is if it takes more than 2 sentences to explain, it's too complicated, right? Which is a bit of a harsh rule, but my point is, like, if it does, it has to be for a good reason. So we can say high knockback, and then somewhere it tells you greater than 5. So if we look at weapons. Sword. I do this, that finds me here. So the sword has a knockback of 20. Right, okay. So it is quite high, but the hammer starts with 40. So we would have to say like 40 is our bar. So we say knockback equals... yeah, hammer does 50, and then spear does like barely any. Dagger does none. Bow does a little bit of token knockback just for the visual effect. Fireball could do a little bit more. Shall we just while we're here, let's just give Fireball 5 knockback. Just for the visual effect. I wonder if that's going to tank the physics system. Icicle, yeah, 24 to 20. So it does some for a visual effect. It feels like a big impact, you know. Shield, obviously none. Heal, obviously none. Crossbow, none. Then we go tier 2. Flame of the West, the knockback goes up to 40. Quake Hammer starts at 70, 80, 90, 100. So that'll do extra damage. So that'll mean that the hammer... like, all of these things that are doing knockback are doing a little bit of damage as well. Greatsword. What if Greatsword started at 40? 45? Because this is very arbitrary. It's not like I'm just messed with something that was very carefully thought out. Yeah, throwing daggers, no. Maybe just like 1, 3, let's say. Same as an arrow. Explosive arrows should have decent knockback. Yeah, 10, 10. Just enough to, like, see it. Meteors, that's completely changing. Ice Beam, yeah, because it sort of goes through. I think for the visual effect it should. And we'll just go with like 10. And I'll just copy that over. And it doesn't need to scale, like it's not a knockback weapon. Mirror Blade has knockback. Healing Nova, obviously not. Scroll, it's a buff, obviously not. Okay, so the club doesn't have 40. So yeah, like the knockback on weapons isn't quite consistent enough. But yeah, let's just do the same thing here. This is a big ass weapon. Club should do 45, 50. I just like, so will this make the game more fun? I think it probably will. Yeah, so an axe maybe can start at 40, but go up in smaller increments. Just so that we could sort of say, yeah, so that we could sort of say that 40 is kind of the bar for like, actually this unit has been knocked back. Chain Lightning, no, it kind of pins them in place. Whirlwind Blade, I think not apparently, but it could. Glaive, like you don't expect it to, but yeah, it getting to 40 halfway through is fine. Yeah, not really needed here, but for the tier 4 one is fine. The Morning Star definitely, and that's definitely there. The guitar is probably going to change, but I need to make a note of that. Yeah, I don't think that fits. So change meteors to big meteor. Change guitar to something else. Live steel machete, yeah, it's not. Grenades, yeah. I haven't even tried grenades actually, to be honest with you. I know that's horrendous, but I haven't even tried grenades. But let's say they had 40. So we kind of end up, Stormcloud's going to change. So we end up with yeah, just like a few weapons that do knockback. I really do need to like balance out the orc weapons a lot more. Drum, no. Totem, no. Orc claw, no. And yeah, we can go through all of these. Impaler has negative knockback. Scythe, Chris. Yeah, you wouldn't expect these to have knockback. Star for Resurrection, Star for Command. Ice Grief you totally would. But yeah, I guess like the last stage. Chains. And then that comes down to like maybe UI is like if a weapon has more than 40 knockback, it will come with a tag, like a visible tag that says something like has knockback. But if it's less than that, it's just a visual effect. Or like, yeah, high knockback greater than 40. Can cause debuff. And then the others like are scaled, but like, so the damage would be so so it would be like yeah, like 1/4 of knockback, or like let's say 25% of knockback is converted, is added as damage. 25% of knockback is added as healing. High knockback spreads debuffs. And we'll just have to put this in the tooltip each time, greater than 40. It's like a bit. And then what do you mean 40 knockback? Well, you can look at the weapons, but we just say high knockback. Like, that means a hammer. Any weapon that you expect to have knockback. Okay, so then artifacts, like reset. So then we could just we just run the whole gamut. Like, 1% of knockback is added as mana. Yeah, chance to reset all weapon cooldowns equal, yes, a chance, so what is that chance? Chance to reset all weapon cooldowns, knockback out of like adds chance to reset all weapon cooldowns, and the calculation is like so if knockback kind of generally ranges between 0 and 100, 3 knockback wouldn't be 3%. It would be like up to 10% for really high knockback, I think would be fair. So we'd be like knockback divided by, so 100 divided by 10 is 10, and so that would be a 10% chance. Yeah. So I'm not intuitively good at maths. Okay. Yeah, I think this is a good idea. So this is something I've just thought of. Like, it adds work to the game, but I think just adds more flavor and variety. Meaning that, like, oh, I've got, like, I get this one of these at the beginning, 25% knockback added as damage, and I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. I can take, that means I'm going to pick the hammer, I'm going to pick the club, I'm going to pick all of these things that do knockback rather than other artifacts. Or rather than other weapons, like, and then even having this, like, oh, high knockback can cause a debuff, or oh yeah, can cast a buff. High knockback spreads debuffs. That is a bit awkward. I think that means we have to, like, so can cast a debuff. Although what we do is we do the, like, the higher it is, the higher percentage chance. So knockback adds chance to add debuff. Knockback adds chance to cast a buff. Yeah, so we just do all of these things. Yeah, knockback adds chance to summon chicken. Are there other ones that should summon a chicken? Like cast mana? Like, yeah, no, I think like that's fine. Every time you kill a chicken can spawn? Okay, yeah, let's do kill a chicken. Like, just leaning into the chicken build. But it also ends up counting as a heal. Kill a chicken, critical chicken. So, like, every time you crit, there's a chance for a chicken to spawn. Which isn't that instant heal, but having the chicken... Well, that's... Yeah, okay, so... Sorry. So, kill a chicken, critical chicken... So having chicken spawn as a result of things, I haven't really thought of that too much. Reset, yeah, reset weapon cooldowns. Rain, we kind of dropped that. It's too messy. Mana, yeah, 1% of knockback added as mana. Like 2% for the hero, let's say. We'll balance that. Just random-ish numbers at the moment. Reset, buff, heal. And it will heal the unit doing the debuff, except in the case of the hero, he'll heal all. So if I've got a hammer, every time I hit someone, I'm healing all my units by like, I guess that would be 4, which would be pretty powerful actually. Like if I hit a bunch of units with my hammer, or if I get my big like Morning Star or something like that, like a tier 2 knockback weapon, that'd be really good. And then I'm just thinking like chicken as a result. So we have such a thing as a chicken build, which basically is like every time I get a chicken, something happens. So then the more chickens I get, the more like, so we get chicken. So we've got ultimate chicken, I think. Oh, we don't have ultimate chicken. And it has to be balanced. And so here's like, I don't know if anyone's watching this. Anyone watches these far into the videos. But if you are, it's well, even if you're not, like, it's nice for me to voice this out. But here's my thought process. Things that cause chickens to happen are fun because that creates synergies with this chicken build. However, having an artifact which spawns a chicken is kind of similar to having an artifact which does a heal. So one of the questions here is, should these artifacts that give chickens, one, should they exist? 2, should they replace the ones that heal? Because the chance is going to have to be very small for it to be like on par. So if it's like killing a unit has a 50% chance to heal all units, then having a chicken is better, obviously, because you're going to heal all units by a bit more. And you can choose when it happens. But also you have to go get it. So it's like... And then if we're doing ultimate chicken, like... So would we do the same thing with a mana drop? So like all mana gems do more. Every time you get a mana gem, something happens. I feel like that starts to get a bit complicated. So it'd be like every time you get an item, something happens. Every time you get mana or chicken. Or do we just do with the chicken? On block you can get a chicken. On resurrect you can get a chicken maybe. On debuff, every time you debuff someone, a chicken has a chance of appearing. And then that leans into this chicken build. Or maybe we drop the chicken build altogether. I don't know. I just quite like it. I think it's funny, but also it kind of works. Like, and it means that every time you see a chicken, you're like, get that fucking chicken. You get it and shit happens. like chicken summon. You summon a couple units every time you get a chicken, and then you make it so that chicken is spawning all over the place. But also there's, I think that's why it works, because there is a talent which causes chicken to rain from the sky, and there isn't such a thing for mana, and that's fine. I think that's good. But then there's the fun of it. Like there's so many places we could go with this game, because if we did have that, like I thought of a shield, which is like an ice shield, that when this shield blocks, you get a bit of mana. And then that would mean mana builds are really huge, so you're less concerned about healing, but you just want to get your mana, and you can end up with these really funky builds. And we've got killer mana. It's just, would it be more fun if it dropped a mana gem and then we had things that procced when you picked up a mana gem? Or do we just keep it with the chicken? And so what others we do? So ultimate chicken, buff chicken, debuff chicken. Like when enemy dies, greater chance of turning to chicken. Or like when a debuffed enemy dies, they have a good chance of turning into a chicken. That would be a more exciting and interesting way to do this. So when debuffed enemy dies, they have chance to turn to chicken. And it would be like cook your enemy before they die thing. So that would be like a fun theming to it. Ultimate chicken kind of makes sense. But then it's like, why would you ever pick ultimate heal instead of ultimate chicken? Well, you wouldn't. So chicken is inherently tied to it. So I'm really getting lost in the weeds here. But this is fun. This is this has turned into a design stream. But that's where we're at. I just fixed a bunch of bugs. We could do some visual effects. We can focus on sound effects for a little bit. But of course, it is good to do design before doing those things. We're kind of like layering between spending time designing something and then just fucking doing it to see how it goes. And if you try and design the whole thing without actually doing anything, then you're kind of wasting your time. Because a lot of shit is going to change as you're tasting what you cook. You come into these problems. It's like if you've ever built a house, if you've ever done some like work on a house, you could measure everything ahead of time, and a lot of people will do that. But that actually is much easier said than done. So like, let's say you're doing some flooring, you could measure out all the floors, and then you could measure out all of the lengths of the different wood that you're going to cut and plot out how you're going to cut and how you're going to lay the flooring. I did it in a room with like lots of little angles in my living room, and I had the help of my father-in-law, and he was kind of more like, put this one in and then you'll know how big the next one should be. And I think that's kind of like, you've got to have a blend there, right? Like you can't just like randomly cut a bit of wood. Oh, does that fit? No, it doesn't. All right, try again. But at the same time, you can't plan the whole thing. So you kind of have to do it in steps and layers. Anyway, there's this sort of direction that we say, okay, so what if killer mana didn't give mana but drops a mana gem? And then you still have to go and collect it. And then like, what if vengeful mana didn't give mana, but drops a mana gem. And then the artifacts which procced on picking up a mana gem. I don't know. You could do this, or there were artifacts which procced on picking up any item. Which could get a bit crazy, because then when the loot goblin comes at 5 minutes, like you pick up 5 items in a row, and then it's like, what if Killer Summon didn't randomly summon allies, but dropped a can of beans? I'm gonna go to the toilet. I'll be right back. And yeah, so I don't know which way to go with this. Like, you could say, let's have all of these things and let's try them out and then delete them as appropriate. Like, is it more fun to pick up an item? So kill a summon is like every time you kill a unit, you have a 10% chance to summon another one, which means you're summoning more and so on. But is it more fun if instead you had a 1% chance of picking up a can of beans? So when a unit dies, when an enemy unit dies, it just has a higher percentage chance to drop a can of beans. So in a way, that's more fun because you get to go and pick up the item, right? So like straight away you think like there's one school of game design that says absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. It's more fun if this proc causes a chance of a pickup, which you then have to go and action. You go and pick up the thing. Especially since, so like we're sort of moving away, like so we can take any one of these and turn it into like on a drop basis anytime we can. So Vengeful Summon, Holy Summon, Chicken Summon, Ultimate Summon. In some of these cases, we say that it drops an item that does the effect rather than just immediately doing the effect. And then I was thinking as well, like, for debuffed ones, it's like, no, you have to kill the unit while it's debuffed in order to potentially get the thing. So, and there are kind of two directions that we can go here. One is like mad variety. Mad variety. So you just have a bit of everything. And there's just loads of options to choose from. And you can have one which drops a mana gem. You can have one which just instantly gives you the mana. And it's up to you to decide which one is better. Or like, you know, obviously you don't know which one you're going to get. The other one is to go a lot more like... So like, for example, Vampire Survivors doesn't have this mechanic at all, but it does have the cards. I can't remember what they're called, but you get these little cards which kind of drastically can change your playstyle, and they limited the number of them quite significantly, so there's not that many. So there's not that many of these upgrades. Monster Train, for example, it kind of just takes the best of them. So Monster Train could have done this thing of, oh yeah, like anything can proc, and anything can be a result of the proc. But what you do is you take the most kind of compelling ones and you just keep them. I mean, one advantage to having lots of these things is it's like a nice marketing thing, but it's also a nice like thing for players to unlock. Like artifacts becomes this big thing, and then because it's already like it's becoming quite a big part of the game. Like if we have all of these artifacts, then it's like, okay, well let's make that like something really powerful and interesting. Like let's make that. At the moment, they're just called artifacts, and they're just these little sprites that you can unlock. But what if that was like a key part of like the narrative, or you know? What if you could get more than 4? So many different ways you could go. And I think that kind of is the way to go. It's just like, let's have a ton of these. But like, what if we said, so that the main questions is, should artifact effects drop items more than just giving the effect? Should we... So we've got chicken summon, like things that proc when you get a chicken. And that makes sense because there is a talent which means that chicken just drops from the sky. So you're going to get more chicken. And you can also have luck, which increases chance of any item. So we wouldn't need to do the same thing for mana. But what if we did? What if there was something that made mana drop out the sky? Or something that like... Every time you gain mana, say, no, that's too weird. But every time you gain significant mana, no, that's too weird. So, like, there's a few directions I could go here. My thinking right now is, yeah, let's not have artifacts which proc on getting a mana gem. Or a can of beans or a magnet. But let's have artifacts which drop chickens. But so the sort of simple kind of answer here is, okay, change healing artifact healing effects to chance to drop chicken. And then it's easier to get a chicken build going, and it's not redundant. So change artifact. So ultimate heal becomes ultimate chicken. Vengeful heal becomes vengeful chicken. Killer heal becomes killer chicken. And then that has a better chance of causing you to get your chicken build going. And it means you can just have kind of like chicken galore, you know? Should artifact effects drop items more than just giving the effect? Not in all cases. So we could say, does kill a mana mean that you've got a chance to drop a mana gem? Yes, for the fun of picking it up, but that doesn't necessarily have to turn into like a synergy. Like that doesn't mean that we have to make artifacts which proc on picking up a mana gem. I think that is wrong. So no. So change artifact healing effects to chance. Healing, yeah. So summon effects to chance to drop can of beans. Mana effects to chance to drop mana gem. Then what else is there? There's magnets, but we don't need that. Like magnets can still just drop when they drop. But it's always more fun, I think, to pick up the item. To have to go and pick up the item. We shouldn't have artifacts which proc. So like artifact which procs on picking up an item. Yeah, like item pickup artifacts. So we do all the same things. We do every time you pick up an item, any item, you can buff units, you can summon a chicken, you can summon a mana gem, you can reset all weapon cooldowns. And of course you could like double the effect of the item. So any item you get will be enhanced, which would have a great synergy with all of these things. And we would call it like greedy. Greedy. Yeah. And I think more of these fun artifacts is good. Okay, so we've come up with some artifacts. I'm going to have to go before I can commit any of this. But this is good. This is design thinking. So we go killer. Yeah. Killer chicken, critical chicken. So yeah, that becomes that. I think the item dropping is generally better. Like it's more fun, it's more interesting. And considering I've identified that part, like, so when an item drops, so when an enemy dies, it has a chance to heal all my units. Or it has a chance to drop a chicken, which means I have to go and get the chicken. And it also means it's less likely to happen, but I can kind of control when it's going to happen. Like control when I go and pick up the chicken. And then if I've got looters, like that chicken's just coming straight to me. Like, and then that could combine with like, so I'm either, so the chicken one is like, that's healing, that's picking up an item, that's also just picking up a chicken. We could then say, do we want these ones where picking up a chicken can cause a summon? So like, would have to replace chicken artifacts. So like if you pick up an item you have a chance to summon, no, that's just, you wouldn't need one that's just for chickens then. Even if that one was like, oh, if you pick up a chicken you'll get more summon because it's less likely to happen, because obviously getting any item is more likely than getting a specific item. But then maybe see, it's so tricky, isn't it? And then what if we had both? What if we had one killer mana or killer mana gem? So there's a chance that it will give you mana. There's a chance that it will drop a mana gem. And you don't know which one you're going to get, but they both kind of have the same outcome, except only one of them would synergize with an item pickup build. Totally lost in the weeds here. Hadn't really thought about it at this level before, but like, yeah, I guess it's like, yeah, there's so many things you could do with the artifacts. And one way is, let's just throw the kitchen sink at it, or we just pick like 10 really good ones and stick to that, you know? Like we audition all of these and all of these ideas, but pick 20. Pick the 20 best ones. I don't know. We're definitely doing this. Chance to drop chicken, which ends up being a heal. I think that's a good idea, but I need to think on it more before making such. I mean, it's not that difficult. I just find the bit that says, "Oh, drop me, get a chicken," you know, drop a chicken, and I just put that instead. Like it's not that difficult. I have to change the name. But yeah, picking up an item is more fun than it just happening. Right? Yeah. And then we say knockback artifacts. That is a good idea to at least try. But item pickup artifacts. I loved the idea of having a chicken build. I just thought that was funny. But an item pickup build has more chance of having synergy. And still sit like, oh, I've got this one where like chickens are dropping from the sky, or I've picked the hero whose ultimate is to summon chickens. Yeah, like that means that's going to be a more powerful build, and it's not necessarily a chicken build. It's just it's a pick up chickens. It becomes an item build with chickens as part of it. And we've got a build where I'm just picking up lots of items, which makes luck OP. It's like will become quite hard to balance there. So like I'm just gonna file this under artifact rework, like, or not rework, but artifacts. I definitely want the knockback artifacts. The item artifacts are interesting, and then let's separate this. Yeah, and what I can do to change meteors to big meteor, I can just use, even though it's crap graphics, I can just use a single meteor crash for the animation and the effect, and then change guitar. I need to think about what to change the guitar to. Just looking at my Miro board. Like, yeah, guitar, axe plus chain heal like axe of life. It just could be a big ass axe. I think big ass axe is a good idea. Like a big ass axe. So we've already got lifesteal machete, which is interesting. I like that. I guess we'll keep that, and then axe plus chain heel would be a guitar, but it could kind of look like a guitar, but is still essentially an axe that has like a healing effect. So chain heel becomes goblin launcher. So we actually lose our heal. So chain heel plus axe would be you almost imagine that does really work well with guitar, because it's like the chain heels are like the strings, and the axe is like the guitar itself. And it would be like a weapon, which so like that, because then we they don't actually have a high level heal. The chain heal becomes goblin launcher, which is healing in the sense that it's creating more units. It's adding to the overall health of your army, rather than damaging the enemy. But then we lose our heal, so we should still have our heal. We get our totem, so I would think like chain heal to axe would be like, should be a big. So yeah, I think it should be a guitar. So yeah, we keep the guitar. But we'll call it Axe of Life. And it should look like a guitar, but still more like an axe. And it would be like the axe with like an enhanced axe with like holy strings going along, so it looks a bit like a guitar, but is still essentially your like, and it's a healing weapon. So we maybe we still call it guitar. So like redraw guitar should act like a chain heal, but adds buffs. So this is like a really good healing weapon. And the chaining element of it, I think, is quite cool. So it will chain to friendly units, and also add buffs as it goes. Yeah, and then I need to like test the orcs. So so today I won't be back today. I've got to do a interview, and I've got to prepare for that interview. Like my life depends on it, because I would really like this job. And tomorrow, and then this week, I'm a bit spotty because I'm doing childcare in the mornings, because my wife does some exam invigilation. But I will be on in the afternoons this week. So I think and tomorrow I've got driving lessons. So I think the next time you'll see me is likely Wednesday afternoon at 1:00. But I'll be coming in to do little bits, so you never know. Keep an eye out, and I might come in and do another stream. So yeah, thanks for joining. And yeah, like and subscribe if you want to see more. Check out the game Warbeans, and have a great day. Cheers, bye.